hopefully I can inspire, younger people to get into the sport of jiu-jitsu. I think that's ultimately a goal of mine. Start coaching more and open a gym in the future and get people invested in the sport. I think jiu-jitsu has so much to offer.
From MMA Island. Christopher de Santiago with MMA Island, fighting out of Manchester, England. Today I'm talking to a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Mr. Harry Roberts. Harry, how's it going today,
Good.
man?
I'm great, Chris. How are you? Thanks for having
Pretty
me on, man.
good. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. I like the setup that you got there. Looks like you're on an island, but you're over there in England. I guess how's the
Yeah,
day been for you, man?
yeah. I'm trying to replicate, the Thailand vibes. I absolutely love it over there. I train there half the year in Thailand, half the year in Manchester. So I'm currently in Manchester, leaving to Thailand next month, to train and to compete in ADCC in October. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome, man. And did you start in kickboxing before Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, I started kickboxing just fresh out of school, really. 18 years old, and just wanted to get my teeth into something. And kickboxing was the first sort of martial art that I was introduced to, but never competed in it, but always loved it. And then when I was introduced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a couple of years later, I just fell in love with it a lot more than I did kickboxing, and I just went all in on that. I thought if I was gonna commit myself to multiple disciplines, I felt like I wouldn't have progressed how I wanted to. So I just thought I'd just go all in, no gi Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and see where it's taken me. And I'm happy with the progress so far, man.
Awesome. How old were you when you first stepped into the kickboxing gym? And I guess when you were younger, did you kind of envision yourself doing that at one point? And I guess did you like fighting growing up?
Always, I was always a fan of the UFC. Even when I was younger, when it wasn't popular, but pre Conor McGregor days, and all my friends would just think I was a weirdo banging on about UFC and Anderson Silva and Ronda Rousey, and all my friends were into football. But I think as the UFC took off and it became more mainstream, it's become a lot more popular now. But definitely been a fan from the early days, and I think that's what ultimately got me into kickboxing. Um, and I think just the love of the sport in general has just taken me to where I am now. So yeah, big UFC fan.
Hmm. I guess going from kickboxing to jiu-jitsu, did the cardio kind of dump kind of shock you? Because for me, my first day of doing jiu-jitsu, I mean, I threw up a few times, nothing like, a boxing or shadow boxing, right?
Yeah. It's a lot more, kickboxing, shadow boxing, or just boxing in general. So it's explosive. It is a different type of cardio to jujitsu. And I like both, but I think the conditioning and the cardio required for jujitsu, especially 5 minute rounds. Maybe we'll do 10 5 minute rounds just in the gym every day. You just get conditioned to a point where you don't even know any better. Um, and it really sort of jujitsu allowed me to condition myself to a point where I feel like I'm like a true martial artist, I'd say. Whereas kickboxing, I feel like I didn't spar that much and maybe I wasn't conditioned enough. But I feel like jiu-jitsu, you can go 100% in sparring and you can get proper conditioning. Whereas, if you're kickboxing or you're boxing, you can't exactly go 100% in the training room every day. You're just going to get beaten up, and you're going to be knackered. But with jiu-jitsu, I find you can go 100%, and that leads you to be, conditioned. And I'm in great shape just doing jiu-jitsu now.
Hmm. What was the turning point for you to, not just doing jiu-jitsu as a hobby, but
Mm.
as maybe like as a career, as a sport? Like when did you kind of make that decision to go kind of all in into this sport?
I would say it was early last year, a sort of a mental commitment to myself about this is what I'm doing with my life, rather than just it being a hobby and turning up 3 or 4 times a week and going through the motions. I just thought this is who I am and what I want to do, and I'm going to go all in on it. And that was training twice a day, sometimes three times a day, plus strength and conditioning training. And I think doing that consistently for a year led me to the point where I was ready to compete. And you sort of naturally progress to the point where I feel like you are ready for competition. And I think after sort of a year and a half of just intense training, I just felt like it was the right time. And I had my first ever competition at the start of this year in January, on my birthday, and it went really well. Won gold, and that sort of kick-started the journey of competing. And then after that, after my first comp, I pretty much flew straight out to Thailand to compete at ADCC over there. And that's sort of been the start of the journey, which is it's been good.
Hmm. And to like get the gold medal after putting so much hours and to sacrifice so much, man, what did that mean to you just as an athlete?
Yeah, it does mean the world for me, because it shows that the hard work that you put in does have rewards, tangible rewards that you can see and you can put it around your neck. But at the end of the day, the first competition was a local competition, and it wasn't sort of an international standard competition. So I only want to go for the ADCCs, the IBJJFs, the no gi Brits, and I think I'm at the point now where I only want to compete in with those organisations. But I think notably, my recent success at ADCC, winning gold at the national championships, that was a big turning point for me. I think because I just put in so much work leading up to that. And I'd given myself a lot of work this year leading up to that. And we had the English Open, had the ADCC in Thailand, and we had Grappling Industries in Bangkok. These were all sort of good building blocks to lead up to the national championships, which was in June. And I'm just glad it went my way, man. I put in a lot of work for it, so it went well.
Hmm. And I guess in talking about those competitions, man, I mean, I guess what does the future hold for you? Like, and what do you hope to accomplish in the next few years with these competitions?
Yeah, I think I want to put an emphasis on competing internationally. I like sort of how my life's structured in terms of doing 6 months in Thailand, 6 months in Manchester. I think you get a different type of training. Working with Owen Livesey out in Bangtao, you get a lot of wrestling done, which is absolutely exhausting and such hard work, but his classes are great. So I get to work a lot on my stand up out in Thailand, and then when I'm back in Manchester, I get to it's all ground game. We don't do too much wrestling at stealth.
Mhm.
Um, we're all sort of hungry leg lockers and guard pullers, but we love it, and I think it's a nice balance for me for sure. So I think competing internationally, and focusing on ADCC competitions as well. I do like the rule set. I like ADCC as an organisation as well. So I think just running up those competitions and ultimately, going for the ADCC Worlds. And my sort of an overall goal would be to win gold or national gold at every belt color. White to black, with ADCC would be great. So I'd say that would be my goal going forward for the next couple of years.
Hmm. I don't know how UFC BJJ kind of compares to all these other competitions because it is really new, but I guess what is your reaction to UFC BJJ? And I guess is that something that interests you in the future?
Yeah, for sure. I like the format of the show. It's cool. It does seem like a bit of a reality TV show per se, rather than just a competition. But I think it's good to put BJJ on the map, especially with UFC being a huge organization. Um, I think it's an amazing opportunity for jiu-jitsu competitors to make a name for themselves. I also like the pit that the guys
Yeah.
compete in, the patented pit. I think it's really cool. So maybe one day, if Dane is listening, we could get on the UFC BJJ show. That'd be awesome.
Hmm.
Well, baby step.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Before I got this job, I always wanted to be a UFC fighter. I guess for you, before you turn into a jiu-jitsu machine, man, Was the UFC ever a dream of yours, I guess, growing up?
Yeah, but I think it was just so far out of the realms of possibility in my life that it was just a dream. Um, and I think being a fan of the UFC, especially as a kid, you always want to put yourself in sort of the fighter's shoes. That's for me anyway. Um, and I think doing jiu-jitsu and competing in jiu-jitsu kind of satisfied that part of myself that wanted to be a fighter, and I feel like I got the sort of the kick out of it without having to get punched and kicked in the face. So, but yeah, maybe in another life.
Mhm.
Yeah,
What's your favorite submission to get in training
in training.
or in competition? Honestly, either or.
Um, Great question, man. I tend not to look for specific submissions. I'll tend to be, I'll tend just to react and see what sort of position I can get in terms of controlling my opponent and limiting their movement, and then see what happens. I tend not to chase a specific sub, but if I was to, I just think a rear naked choke is there's just so much control. I tend to use my legs to my advantage and lock up a body triangle and rip a rear naked choke on my training partners, and that would be my favorite. But I like the fancy stuff as well. I've been trying to work a lot on the Tarika platters. Just trying to hold down the big guys in the gym and seeing what I can do with the submissions there. But I'd say in competition, my favorite submission has been my triangle choke. It's the only one that's put someone to sleep in comp, so it works. So yeah,
Awesome, man.
triangles, rear nakeds, and maybe something fancy like a Tarika platter.
Yeah, is there a fancy submission that you really want to get that you haven't got yet? Like I just saw Brett Johns, he got like a Sully of stretch or something like that like a
Dude,
week ago or
dude, I got hit with a twister the other week in
oh man.
sparring, and it was super demoralizing. If I could hit a twister on someone, that'd be awesome. And I've also been getting wrist locks a lot. I know it's not a rite of passage for blue belts, but I just think hitting a wrist lock on someone in comp would just be that would be funny. So yeah, maybe something like that, man.
Have you ever got hit with one of those chokes where it's like they put your chest against like your head and like you can't breathe? I forgot what that choke is. Um where like
Maybe just a
they
smother choke.
yeah, smother choke. Those are the worst. I
Smother
hate
jokes are
those.
horrible, man. Yeah, or even just just cup in the mouth, and I know that's banned in a lot of competitions, but just suffocating people in general is a nasty way to go. But yeah, smother chokes. Say it's a big man's game for sure. But yeah, pretty demoralizing to be under a smother choke for sure.
Mhm. What's the worst injury that you've endured since you've started training?
I've been pretty lucky with injuries, man. I do have sort of chronic shoulder pain in my right shoulder. Feel like everyone in jiu-jitsu has shoulder pain, so I'm not going to complain about that. I did get hit with two staph infections when I was out in Thailand. It's pretty rife over there, and the mats are pretty unforgiving. They create sort of a lot of abrasions on your feet and your legs, and then the staph can sort of get in through that. So I was out I was out for a good month with a staph infection in my knee. I had a load of shit coming out of my kneecap, and it was all swollen. I couldn't walk on it, so I had to pull out of ADCC Japan and sort of flew home early. So I'm just hoping next month, to stay on top of the hygiene. That's more of my concern, to be honest. But I've been pretty lucky with the injuries. I try and train relatively, smart. I've got good training partners. They look after me. So, yeah, I've been good so far, man.
And
Touch
what was
wood.
your yeah,
Yeah.
what was your family's reaction to like I guess wanting to pursue this dream and to get into the grappling world and like I guess what was their initial reaction to all of that?
Yeah, my family are, I can't thank them enough. They've been so supportive, and they were the ones who also encouraged it. I think they just saw me. I kept going to training. I kept showing up. I was working the job on the side. And I remember sitting them down, or they sat me down and essentially said that we want to support you in this, and we can see that this is what you want to do, and we will encourage you with this. And obviously, it's probably the last thing that my mum wanted me to do, but I think they see where I'm going with it, and they're happy with the progress that I've made, and they want to see me do well. And so they're all on board for it, really. But initially, I think they were reluctant because I'm always growing up. I was always trying new hobbies. I was trying new things. I try everything, and I think they were just like, "Oh, this is just another, crazy little
Phase or
hobby that,
something.
that Harry's got going." But I just kept showing up, man, until I knew like this kid's not stopping. So um, yeah, we had to have a conversation about this is, I'm going to commit my life to this, and you know, whether you like it or not. But yeah, they're very supportive, and I'm lucky for that. I'm very grateful that I have parents who are supportive. My girlfriend, she's super supportive. She's been there in pretty much every fight. She was there on my first competition. She flew out to Bangkok to watch me compete. So I've always had family support. It's been nice, man. I think that has helped as well. My progress and committing myself to it. They hold me to a certain standard. So I'm thankful, man. I'm very thankful.
Awesome, man. I think that's all the questions I had for you today. I just want to thank you again for the time, man. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans out there watching, man?
Uh, Stay tuned, man. This is just the start of the journey. I'm just a blue belt. It's an absolute privilege just to be talking to you. I know that you interview UFC champions, some of the best people in the sport. So it's a real privilege to talk to you. And I am just at the start of this journey. Um, and I will be competing heavily, going forward for the next couple of years. And I'm going to be documenting it all. I'm going to be filming it all. I'll be even making little music videos out of the edits that I'll be posting on my Instagram. So it'd be cool just for people just to tune into the journey, man. And hopefully I can inspire, younger people to get into the sport, jiu-jitsu. I think that's ultimately a goal of mine, would be to, start coaching more and open a gym in the future and get people invested in the sport. I think jiu-jitsu has so much to offer. So I think just, yeah, get involved in jiu-jitsu, and follow me on Instagram. I would say that's my message.
Awesome, Harry. Well,
Hell
it's
yeah,
great to
man.
talk. Great to talk to you, man. I'm looking forward to seeing that new gym whenever the time comes, man.
We'll see. I'll do my best to manifest that. That's definitely a long-term goal of mine. I think for now, just focusing on competition, training camp out in Thailand, um, and trying not to do a bit of everything. But I think as long as I focus and get my head down over the next couple of years, I think things will work out how I expect them to, for sure.